Is there finally a deal to end the war in Iran, to open the straits? It appears that it may be in the works. This could finally be a reality. Is it real, or is this just Iran playing Donald Trump is Charlie Brown and Iran's Lucy with the football? That's what it's been. That's what it's been. But I don't know this time. So, and this is not showing up the way it should on my computer. I don't know if I'm live or not. Oh, Lord. I am having Zoom issues. Excuse me, guys. I got to see if this will pull up and if I'm really live or not. I'm going to try to pull up on my other computer because this is not showing up the way it should. Anyway, all that said, apparently I am live. Good. All right. Here's the deal. Donald Trump canceled his attendance to his son's wedding this weekend. Donald Trump canceled his attendance to some big Trump golf tour. He was in the White House. They summoned J.D. Vance to the White House, and there was some big motorcade streaming across the White House, across Washington, D.C. to the White House, as if making some big show of it. And that was noted in the news media, some sudden call to the White House. There was all appearances that Trump was just about to pound Iran. In fact, Iran started apparently believing it was true because they closed their airspace. So a lot of things were going really fast. But at the same time, negotiators were supposedly working in the background, and supposedly some kind of deal got made. Now, there's a lot of rumors about it. We don't know the details fully and really yet. Axios reported that upon talking to two American officials, that the deal actually includes giving the United States the highly enriched uranium. Now, this isn't Trump coming out and saying what we heard in the past was Trump saying this several times. Trump has not said that this time. That makes it interesting. Maybe Trump had said that a few times in the past because maybe he had heard they would, or maybe he was just throwing that out there just to try to get them to make a deal. I don't know what kind of game Trump was playing on that, but he didn't say that this time. But Axios come out with it, which is one of your news agencies, and they said two American officials told them that. Now, what apparently is in the deal is that the Hormuz Strait will be open with no fees being charged by Iran. Remember how they were going to charge toll fees? Apparently not. And I have not heard any discussion about their demands previously that we would pay war retributions to them. That ain't going to happen. I just don't see that happening at all. So this is a big game changer. I will have probably a short video tonight, guys, but this is a huge game changer right now that we may finally have a deal. Now, we've seen this off and on and off and on and off and on and off and on. Iran has played us, and then they'd turn around suddenly, make it sound like they were negotiating a deal. And, oh, no, we got to have all these demands met. So you got to really ask the question. I did not think that Iran was going to give up their highly enriched nuclear uranium for anything. The Ayatollahs and apparently, everyone else had said it wasn't going to happen. Mustafa, whatever his name is, Khomeini, the son of the previous Khomeini, had said that, nope, we're not going to allow it. The hardliners had said, no, we're not going to allow it. And yet suddenly there's talk that that's one of the agreements, or at least it's on the table. Now, supposing some of the details of how that would take place is still under negotiation. Details of Iran's ability to enrich uranium to some form is under negotiation. Maybe enough to run a nuclear power plant. That I could see being negotiable. But if Iran winds up with something to make a bomb, we got a problem, a serious problem, because put this out there before. The Iranian regime is back guano crazy. They are driven by religious beliefs that are very apocalyptic, as if they've got to bring about the Iman coming out of that cave, and it's going to take, or whale, and it's going to take basically a nuclear war to make it happen. Something crazy like that. I mean, it's just seriously back guano crazy stuff. So, how's all this going down? What's it really going to mean? We don't know the details yet. We really expected that sometime this weekend that the bombing was going to restart, recommence. It seemed inevitable. And yet suddenly, a deal. That's a real surprise, really. Now, you got to ask, Iran has been really good at kicking the ball down the road, deferring things. But they were a little bit too hardline to do that lately. I think they really were about to get whooped. And if they backtrack on this, I don't think Donald Trump can hold back again, especially after it really looks like we got a peace deal this time or some kind of deal. Now, suppose there's a 60-day negotiation period, whatever that means, to work out the details. Like if they're going to give us uranium, how are they going to give it to us? Do we have to go in there and get it? You know, that's what they were saying apparently last time, is that it's so buried that we have to go in and dig it out. Is that a trap? A lot of big questions here. But I think they were about to take a very severe pounding. And they knew it, because we had spent weeks just funneling all kind of stuff into Iran. I mean, into the areas around Iran, weeks on weeks, more and more munitions, lots of stuff. It looks like they were about to get hit real hard. And I'm not convinced that wasn't what really needed to happen, because you can't really trust Iran. They've lied on everything they've done so far. They've lied on what they have. I think most of these nuclear materials are in the Pickaxe facility now. That would be my guess. You know, we saw they had all those trucks lined up to move stuff out of Fordo right before Fordo was hit. And we saw the big craters Fordo with all the little, keep out tape, little plastic fencing put around. Somebody went around and stuck the poles in around those holes. And my whole proposition was that we didn't hit no centrifuges there, because had we have done that, it would release the uranium hexafluoride, which is extremely toxic. You couldn't be going around there without some very serious protective equipment on. And they were running around in shirt sleeve, out just like you and me, no protective equipment at all, out there operating heavy equipment and so forth. So I don't think that stuff's there. At least we didn't hit it if it's there. But now Pickaxe, we didn't hit. Pickaxe is too deep. You'd take a nuclear device to take out Pickaxe facility. Fordo, Isfahan, and Natanz were hit real hard. They were obliterated essentially. So those facilities were hit. They were hit real hard, but no sign of uranium hexafluoride. So where was that stuff at? But anyway, that's why I don't think it's dust, as Trump likes to call it. However, some of it may be buried. It may be hard to dig out wherever it is. So, hey, we got a super chat tonight. How you doing there? Appreciate that very much, Carrie. Thank you. Good to see you in the house, Carrie. Thank you for the super chat. So, yeah, if I can't sit war reparations, not retributions. I don't see any mention, Dan, in what I read about reparations. Yeah, okay, whatever, lingo, syntax. I have not seen him mention that this time. It was always in their demands before. And they also said they were going to control the Strait of Hormuz. This time they're saying, apparently, no tolls. That the Strait of Hormuz is going to be up, no tolls, and that Iran won't remove the mines. Now, is that going to happen? Will this work out? Will it stick? Will it go through? If it don't, will we turn around and really pound them? I think Trump would lose face at this point if he didn't pound them. And quite frankly, if they play us this time, that's all they'll ever do. I'm having trouble having faith in them just because they've held on this so hard, so long. But there's a possibility that they've got the realization that maybe they got to worry about their own people. that they've been weakened so much that if they get hit more, pounded harder, that they will then be so weak that the protesters in Iran who hate them so much will take them out. And that fear may have brought them to the negotiating table. Seriously. The fear of one more pounding causing an actual regime change from inside. Because we don't have boots on the ground there. And putting boots on the ground in Iran would be extremely expensive in terms of American troop lives. And I don't think the United States has a stomach for that right now. So I hope this is real. I am not going to hold my breath. I don't have any faith in the Iranian regime. None. Zero. It's been a while. We've been busy. Hey, I understand busy. I've not done a lot of videos lately. Yeah, y'all been traveling. Hope you had a good time. Are you guys back now? uh, I've been busy too. I've started a new job and it's been exceedingly demanding on me. I had to do some training to use the tools I'm going to be using in this job. And I put in some midnight oil learning a couple of those tools. It was the I don't I learn computers by doing, not by watching somebody else doing. So when you got to watch a presentation on a big, lengthy, detailed, minutely excruciating, detailed, a lot of things involved in a tool. I mean, a lot. And they just throw this stuff at you. And then they throw a detailed test at you. You're not even in the tool. You're just watching it. I learned computer stuff by doing it, not by watching it. So I had some problems with that. That was not an easy process. But I'm going to tell you something. This made me the most exciting job I've ever had in my life, except for maybe launching my own rockets and having to run for my life from them. That was kind of exciting in a different way. Yeah, when you're doing your own rocket program, that was pretty exciting. But this is kind of a dream job for me, really. We'll go into that in a little bit. I'll come back. Let's just keep talking news here for a little bit first before I go into that level. So here's the deal, guys. The uh, this deal with Iran. Let's hope and pray that this works out. But I still hope and pray that the people in Iran will overthrow the regime anyway, regardless, because they deserve freedom. But we do need to see two things. We need to see the Strait of Hormuz open, no tolls. We need to see Iran not able to make a nuclear weapon. Those are critical. We need to know that Iran's not going to be funding proxy networks all over the world and ending American lives like they've been doing for some time. You know, a lot of people say, well, what's Iran done to us? They haven't done nothing to us. Oh, yes, they have. They've cost a lot of American lives, quite a few. Of course, they took 66 hostages and held them, what, 444 days under the Carter administration. As soon as Reagan was getting sworn in, they let him go real fast because they were probably afraid he was going to go pound the heck out of them. I mean, the dumbest thing the United States ever did was take out Iraq, because Iraq was Saddam Hussein was really our buffer against Iran. When we took him out, that opened up the entire Middle East to Iran. It gave them the Shia Crescent. It gave them control through Iraq and into Syria and Lebanon. But they lost Syria, and that cut off the Hezbollah and Lebanon to a large degree. And of course, Israel has pounded the heck out of Lebanon. Now, supposedly another aspect of this peace deal is ending the war in Lebanon. And apparently, Bibi Netanyahu is not happy about it. In fact, Trump had a phone call with Bibi Netanyahu, and they said Bibi Netanyahu's hair was on fire. They said he was mad because Trump apparently put some terms to him he didn't like, but Trump didn't give him any choice. Now, a lot of people thought that Bibi Netanyahu was leading Trump around by the nose. Apparently not. Apparently not. He doesn't really want to end that thing in Lebanon. But I'm sure there will be some wiggle room in there in some way that if Israel's been attacked from Hezbollah, they can do something. You know they will. If they get attacked, they will stretch out and do something. There's no doubt about that. So, my friends, this could be a good thing. It would be far better if the regime changes. It would be far better if we get a friendly regime. Now, maybe one of the things too is that maybe Iran thought that they were going to have China on their back and China was going to take care of them in some way. And maybe that's why Trump went to China first. Maybe that's part of what he and Xi Jinping talked about. And Xi Jinping realized that he needed oil from, they imported what, 90% of Iran's oil, but most of their oil actually was coming from other Persian Gulf countries, and they were being restricted. China really needs access to oil. And so, part of the thing against dealing with China is we might need to cut off their oil supplies in case we have a war with them, but we could do that from the Strait of Malacca. Plus, we could still do that at Hormuz too. We've already shown we can block off Hormuz Strait, but we've done it. We've had a blockade there. We can block them off the air. We can block off the Malacca Strait. And so China could be put in a world of hurt, but China did have a huge reserve. But China was going through the reserves. Now, China was actually trying to play it both ways. They thought they had enough reserves that they could outlast our little venture in Iran to the point that they were actually providing oil to some of our allies, Australia, Japan, some of the other countries over there. And I think they were trying to kind of drive a wedge between the United States and some of the allies. Say, look, we're the guys taking care of you. You got to watch China. China's a snake. China's still our biggest existential threat. I'm pretty convinced. Yes, we're back from the travel. Super busy. It's outdoor planting time. Yes, I'm still trying to get my garden prepped the way I want it. I've got some plants to set out, and they might die on me before I get them out. I'm going to get a water truck out here to pre-soak my garden beds. I don't know if I'll get it done in time. May have to just do some of them. Because it's going to be, I don't get a full paycheck until the 5th of June. And so I just got just a little bit of money to work with, not enough to get another load of that black rich compost out here. I don't have enough for that. That costs a lot of money. And I just can't cover that right now. I'm just kind of squeaking by at the moment. But I'll get there. So a lot of things have been happening. But this Iran deal, has been something else. It has been off the charts what's happening there. So Trump went to China. We don't know the full way of the negotiations, but apparently China has agreed to buy some motors from, I guess it's GE or something, one of the companies that are buying a bunch of motors from. They're going to buy a couple of hundred jets from Boeing. Some people say that order may go to 600 or 700. They're going to buy a bunch of soybeans. So that'll give some relief to our farmers. I hope that there's enough fertilizer for our farmers. There's some talk about some troubles in that area. We may have some food shortages for people to watch out for. So a lot of things going on in those regards. There is, I got 54 people watching. Wow. Okay, now 62. There's other things going on in Europe. Russia's getting pounded real hard, and it's given Putin some internal problems in Russia. He's been openly challenged now for the first time ever. Yet they just put a huge missile strike on Ukraine. And there's word that Russia's going to try to make a summer offensive. So they're apparently not in any close to peace over there. But Putin did a huge nuclear drill. And I think he did as a message they did a huge drill of nuclear weapons, nuclear forces, jointly with Belarus. And apparently this was to put NATO on the watch. Basically, I think he was trying to tell NATO to step back, stay away, because that probably pertains that they're going to do something big in Ukraine, and they want NATO to stay out. And if Russia thinks they're losing, if Russia thinks this Ukraine war is up an existential threat to the continuity of the government, you got to wonder, would they actually use a tactical nuke in Ukraine? We've wondered that for a long time, but Russia always thought they were going to win. Now they're wondering about it because they're really getting pushed back hard over there. So it could get testy over there. That's another reason. Europe's been doing everything they could to pull us into war with Russia, along with Ukraine especially. And I don't think fighting over the Donbass region is worth risking getting America turned into a cinder over. And I think that's what it boils down to. I think it's a European problem. I still let the Europeans take care of it. And that's why I think we need to be out of NATO. I don't think NATO serves the United States any purpose any further. If you agree with me, put a 2 in the chat room. If you disagree, put a 1 in the chat room. I think most of you like to see us out of NATO. That's the way it's been in the past. Now, maybe you guys are changing your mind on that. So these are all things to think about. Taiwan. Taiwan has got a lot of HIMARS now. They've got Patriot missiles. They've got THAAD missiles. They have been setting themselves up to be the porcupine. So it'd be harder and harder for China to actually invade them. So China's taking another tactic now. I'm seeing some 2s. China's taking another tactic. They're really thinking to blockade Taiwan. The bad thing about that is Taiwan imports all of their energy, 90% of their energy. They're shutting down their nuclear power plants, probably because the United States tried to tell them to do that. Not a smart move, because they're very reliant, especially on liquid natural gas. They've only got a 12 to 14 day supply of liquid natural gas at any time. So if they're blockaded, in 2 weeks their lights start blinking, and those chip plants require a lot of power, electrical power, to run. The Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Corporation requires lots of electrical power. And without that, they just don't run. So that is a huge threat to Taiwan if they get blockaded. Now, they've armed themselves to stop an invasion, but their ability to stop a blockade is a whole different matter. Because the ship's blockading can be further off, and as we've seen with the Hormuz situation, it don't take a lot to discourage other people from coming into an area if they think their ships are going to be hit by drones and missiles. So we've already seen that in operation, and China's probably taken a note from that. And even though they told Trump they would not invade Taiwan during his term as president, they didn't say they wouldn't blockade it. A blockade is a military act, but it's a different kind. If they're not pounding Taiwan, it's going to be harder for a president of the United States to say, hey, we need to go over and stop that blockade. Plus, stopping a blockade would put our forces within range of the rocket forces of China, which establishes their anti-access aerial denial system, where they want to, they got huge circles of these missiles to keep us out. The Dongfang 21Ds and Dongfang 26s, or the Dongfang 21D was the first carrier killer. The Dongfang 26 has got such a range on it, can actually reach out to Guam, and they got a new missile that come out with a Dongfang, something like it's 41 that can reach to Hawaii. This is aside from the intercontinental ballistic missiles, which could reach America. And they've got their Dongfang 17, the DF-17 hypersonic missile, which they can just about launch that thing anywhere around the world, and when they launch it on an ICBM. And they've already pretty much shown they can do that. So those things are scary because they come in horizontally, they come in low, come in fast, and you don't see them until they're up on you. And we already know that our missile defense systems on our Aegis destroyers, on our Arleigh Burke class destroyers, all that stuff that are carriers. We don't have enough Standard missiles 2, 3, and 6s to defend these ships. But even if we were fully loaded, they have thousands of missiles at us. They could totally saturate and overcome, the hundreds of missiles we have as interceptors. So our strategy was to stay off a little ways and keep moving around and try to stay out of their range. But they do have satellites and other stuff, balloons that they could use to monitor our carrier locations. Their goal would be to sink carriers if they get into war with us. So that's a really risky thing. How do you deal with a blockade? I think drones are the answer. I think anti-ship drones would do the job. But we haven't developed that to that level. Although we do have that Rapid Dragon system where we can launch cruise missiles from pallets that get pulled out, parachute pulled out of the back of C-135, C-130s, excuse me, C-130s. So our C-130 aircraft, cargo planes, big prop-driven ones that, troops jump out of a lot of times, have the capacity to now be a strategic weapon. And they get some good standoff distance. Those could be used to take out a blockade. We'd have to fight at a distance. We can't get in there close due to the anti-access air denial, systems that China has with their rocket forces. So we hope we don't get into that kind of shooting war with Iran, with China. But if they took out Taiwan, we would be in a serious world hurt. Not just the loss of semiconductors would be a much bigger economic impact than the loss of crude oil in a marketplace that we've seen recently. It would be a huge, about 10 times worse economic impact on us, and it would affect our military and everything else. And China knows that. So let's hope that it don't happen. In the event. So a lot of stuff is still on the board out there. A lot of things are out there. Oh, there's a huge sunspot on the other side of the spun. There's a huge sunspot group growing on the far side of the sun. And let's hope it peters out before it turns our way. It's huge. And it's something we're going to have to, and it's got like reverse magnetic polarity. It's potentially a real dangerous system that we may be facing soon. Also, we got this thing they're now calling the Godzilla El Nino. I might should go into this more in the future, talk about it more in depth, but they think this is going to be the biggest El Nino we've had in 150 years. In 1877, the El Nino then is thought to have cost 50 million lives worldwide. Now, 50 million lives. That was an era when we have far less people than we do today, when agriculture was and supply systems weren't just in time like they are today. So there's a prospect that it could be far worse today. Now, on one side, we've got that we live on just-in-time systems, that our agriculture is peaked out, feeding a huge population, and it's like that worldwide. So those all are factors that can make it worse. The factors that might help is that we have transportation and storage systems that we didn't have back in those days. So there's some give and take on both sides. It's a complex thing. You can't just say, well, it's going to cost millions of lives. It could be far worse than it was in 1987, not 1887, or maybe not nearly as bad. But for a lot of places, it won't be good. Now, here in Arizona, we're kind of looking forward to it because they're telling us we're going to get more rain. And we need rain really bad. The entire Southwest is in a mega drought. We need rain so bad. It might cause flooding, but, we might could absorb some of that just to be able to get some water out here, get the aquifers up, get the rivers flowing again, maybe even fill up some of these dam reservoirs. The Colorado River is almost, it's got a problem. Almost dry. And Lake Powell and Lake Mead have dropped. They're almost to dead pool. That's a severe problem. That means that Phoenix might be running out of water. Phoenix could be in a world of hurt really soon if something big don't happen. So let's hope that this stuff pans out. Time to leave Florida. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen in Florida. And you go back historically and see which regions were impacted. Some areas get far less rain, and some areas get far more rain. Some areas be in drought, and some areas will be flooded. That's what they're talking about, right? Like I said, we're so dry that I think Arizona will be happy to see the water. I think the entire Southwest would be happy to see the water. Well, we got some rain in the forecast coming up. Some people are saying it's starting soon. I don't know if this is part of it, but there is. We're not to what they call monsoon season here. It starts in maybe late summer, south of me, and down in the valley around Phoenix and Tucson. But it usually don't get up here until in the fall, sometimes late fall. That is after growing season. So we need it to rain during growing season, not after growing season. They're predicting, oh, it went down. Shoot. Monday, they're now predicting 42% chance of rain. So it's less than even odds. It was 66 when I looked in here a few hours ago. So it's going down. Got a 4% chance of rain for Sunday, which is, I guess it's Sunday now. That's not much. That usually means nothing where I'm at. Even the 42%. It could blow up again, but they're showing storms, not rain. Storms would be nice because that brings more rain. A lot of times the rain here is just a few drops here and there. Tink, 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 tink. You go outside and you find a few little craters in the dust where a raindrop hit the ground. That's not enough to do anything. So, Angie, what's the deal about Florida? 'Tis the year. I'm in the rain always. Titusville, Cocoa. So, and we got listener said Trump's a liar. What's that got to do with what's going on here with this peace deal? Like I said, they're getting it from people that aren't Trump. Axios's report comes from other American officials. So we'll have to see. And Trump keeps saying we got a peace deal and we don't have one. It's only going to hurt him. So let's hope this one's real. Let's hope this one's real. That's all I can say on that. Damn, finally caught you live. Oh, oops, I shouldn't have said it. And you said when you spelled it DAM, that's like the device that holds water back. That's why I said it. I thought I was going to read something because I just did a report on dam safety, the risk of dams. Oh, yeah, in case y'all didn't know, there was a huge bounty that Iran was actually putting on Trump's head. Believe it or not, yes, a bounty. They had put a bounty on Trump's head. They had, I didn't want to open. They had put let's see, was it? I think it's 43 million pound bounty. So I don't find how that translates. There it is. They had put a 43 million pound bounty on Trump's head for somebody to take him out. The Iranians did that. That translates in US dollars to $57,668,805. So over $57 million. They was wanting somebody to do the dirty deed. Now, if they get a peace deal, is that bounty still out there? I don't know. Would Trump negotiate with them with that kind of a bounty on his head? That's a whole nother question. I don't know. What do y'all think about that? Kind of hot in here. It's just 74 degrees in here right now. So I don't know why I'm feeling so hot. But in any event, shoot, I'm trying to come back to our chat room here on my main computer. Not too many things open. Kill that one. There we are. So a lot of stuff's happened. Hey, I used to go down to Cocoa Beach a lot. There's Cocoa and there's Cocoa Beach. I used to go to Cocoa Beach a lot back when I was directly supporting NASA. So that's kind of where all this stands. We got a lot of open questions vis-a-vis China. Oh, Putin went down to China and met. He had to go down and see Xi Jinping like 2 days after Trump. He beat it down there. and said that they had an official one rank lower than what China greeted Trump with, greeting Putin, and that might be seen visually as some kind of Putin's not being considered as seriously as Xi Jinping. Uh, China and Russia have a relationship of convenience. Neither side really trusts each other, but they need each other right now. Humid in Florida, I bet. Gosh, I know it's humid down there. Real humid. They don't really trust each other, but they got a kind of a marriage of convenience relationship. It's something of an alliance, but maybe not a real tight one. Because China's really trying to take over Siberia, to be honest, and Russia knows it. And Russia's had to swallow a lot of that to deal with and get what they wanted to support them with their Ukrainian war. So Russia's in a pickle, big time. So Port St. John, 14.67 inches. Good grief, that's a lot of rain. And October 7th, 2025. That's a lot of rain. That's almost like a hurricane amount of rain. That's a lot of rain. But anyway, there's a community cluster called St. John. St. John's. I go there sometimes. Yeah, I go to we got St. John's, Arizona, not too far from me. That's where I get my generators worked on. When I had to have them worked on, I've done that while I'm not using them that heavy now. You wish you lived down on the beach. Oh, talking about beaches. One other thing to talk about here tonight is that the UN, Intergovernmental Planet on Climate Change, what do they call it? IGPCC, whatever the committee's called. It's finally come out and says, oh, global warming, never mind. Never mind. Our models were wrong. Doomsday isn't coming in the next 5 or 10 years, not 6 minutes from now. You know, supposedly 99% of the scientists were in agreement, they told us. Al Gore said only the scientists that weren't part of oil companies agreed, which was not true, not by a long shot. In fact, I know two of the top climatologists on the planet, the ones who actually surveil and analyze the global satellite data, and they will tell you in a heartbeat that there is no evidence of, anthropocentric, human caused global warming. There's just a little bit of uptick in temperature, but it's in the noise. And they also further maintain that the models are wrong, and they've been wrong. They made all these forecasts. We're supposed to already had, ice-free North Pole by now. The sea level in Florida was supposed to have been 10, 20 feet up by now. But even Al Gore probably wasn't believing, even though he was out preaching it with his inconvenient truth. But he turned right around and bought a big $10 million mansion right on the coast of Florida. I said way back then, well, if Al Gore believes this crap he's telling you, he wouldn't have bought that mansion, spent $10 million to have a mansion in Florida on the beach. So that should have said everything. But the liberals, they've been hounding on this, just beating on it endlessly, unforgivably, just endlessly. I still get hounded by some of them talking, well, you don't listen to scientists. Yeah, I do. I listen to some of the top scientists in the world. But see, they want to disregard it. No, you're not listening to our scientists. Your scientists are all conflicted by conflict of interest because they all get money from all these government schemes to promote this climate change narrative. So, yeah, so what have they done? They really wrecked our economy over this energy policy. Billions and billions, I guess, many hundreds of billions of dollars went into all this green stuff. We've got Thanks to them, we got wind turbines that chop up birds, kill whales. The carbon requirements for building all the concrete you put these things in is horrendous. The energy to manufacture them is horrendous. They're not reliable. They burn up. It's a charade. And all these huge solar fields full of solar panels. It's just a huge charade. And they did all this, and they were trying to. Biden was trying to outlaw the use of propane and propane appliances. He really was. And this new Green Deal, they wanted to get rid of gas burning cars. They wanted to force that. And AOC is still behind that stuff. So if the Democrats take over the Congress in the midterms, watch out. If they take over the Congress, they'll impeach Trump. If they got the House and the Senate, Trump and his administration are gone. They'll take out the president and vice president, one swell swoop, and put in the Speaker of the House. It'll be a Democrat if they have the House at that time. Now, there's been some redistricting, but the problem is a whole lot of the people that voted for Trump last time don't plan to vote now. They don't plan to vote in midterms. It's not about Trump. This is about keeping our borders closed. This is about keeping fentanyl out of the country. It kills 70,000 Americans a year. This is about not getting another new Green Deal put on us. You think gas is high now? Let these guys take over. If you don't see what they will do for the price of gas, look at California. It was so bad in California that the oil company shut down the refineries there. They pulled their headquarters out of the state. They said, we can't deal with Newsom. They shut the refineries down. And plus all the extra taxes that Gavin Newsom was putting on Californians. I mean, they're paying over $6 a gallon gas in California and Oregon. Imagine that. West Wokistan. Yeah, trying to outlaw cow gas. They don't put mufflers on cows, I guess. They don't want you to have cattle. They don't want cattle to be out there. They don't want you eating beef. They want you to eat the synthetic meats from Billy Goat Gates, or eat the bugs, as as Klaus Schwab used to advocate. Eat the bugs. They want you to live in just based on all this energy stuff. This is why they theoretically come up with the 15-minute cities. They wanted everybody to live in rack and stack ISO shipping container houses in 15-minute cities and ride around in their tricycles and eating some bugs while they flew around in their private jets worldwide and dined on steak and caviar. Just look at all these guys that kept meeting at Davos every year, flying in private jets, plotting the 15-minute cities and the new Green Deal crap. It's one thing for you and the rest and something else for them. I think it's a new raw deal. So they say California has 6 weeks of gas left. Ooh, yeah, it's about to go up. No cow farts, man. Well, I say this. If cow farts were going to end the world, as they told us, and that's basically what they were saying, cow farts was going to end the world. Then they should give Wild Bill Cody the Environmentalist of the Millennium Award because he saved the entire universe by wiping out them infernal buffalo herds. I mean, that's where the logic should go. You remember, America used to be covering millions and millions of buffalo. Millions and millions, huge herds of buffalo, and they wiped them out. Why? Because one, they were in the way of the trains. Trains couldn't get through. That was one reason. The other reason was they were trying to starve out the Sioux Indians and some of the Indian tribes that were totally relying on the buffalo herds for survival. They were trying to pacify them to get them into the reservations. So they wiped out the buffaloes. So, wow, the buffaloes would have ended life as we know it. So I say they should give the Environmentalist and Millennium Award to Wild Bill Cody. I mean, guys, they're so full of it. They are so full of it. It's not funny. And yet, I'm still seeing talking heads, even after the UN Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, came out and said that, hey, their models were wrong. It's not going to be anywhere near as bad as we predicted. They actually said that now. You still see people in the media. You still see talking heads. You still see so-called scientists that out there doing other things like, every little thing in the world that goes bad, every little bug that isn't going where they thought it would go, or every little thing that they want to claim, they're still linking it to climate change. They're still talking that talk because they don't know how to shut it up. They've been programmed to it. I still get people attacking me on Facebook, saying that I don't agree with science. Excuse me? That's what I do. I work science stuff. I'm an engineer. I don't want to hear that boulder dash from them. They're just out spewing. I got some people are attacking me venomously. I mean, some of them are basically threatening me because I post stuff, just little innocent little conservative posts on my Facebook site. Now, those of you that know me and see my Facebook sites, you know what I'm talking about. And you know that some of these guys they just go off off the rails, the way they're attacking me. But does that cause me to stop? No, not at all. Love the new ticks. Oh my gosh. Yeah. We hear these stories about all the boxes of ticks that are being dropped out, livestock, and wild animals dying. Well, that would serve Billy. These ticks are carrying disease that would make everybody allergic to beef. Now, do you think maybe this has got something to do with Billy Goat Gates? How the world had come up with this and now it's spreading everywhere. And you see boxes of ticks. Yeah, somebody's behind this. And I would imagine Billy Goat Gates got a hand in it. I got no use for that man. I can't fix stupid. That's the truth. Some of these stupid people, though, have got PhDs and they think they're smarter than everybody else, but their worldview is based on a house of cards. And some of them are really instigating to foment revolution. That's really insurrection and revolution. That's what they're really trying to do. I went on some of those Facebook sites and saw the stuff they were putting out to their followers, and it's like, oh my gosh, guys, you won't believe some of this stuff. And and some of them are famous people. Can't eat meat. You can't eat meat, Angie. That's where they want to put us. We can't eat meat. That's the way they want us. Some maybe is the bugs. I don't even know if you can eat that if you get this tick disease. Just try to stay clear of ticks. I haven't seen any ticks out here. I'm not saying there's not any because there are cattle roaming around. There are some deer that come through here. But being in the desert, I don't think there's as many ticks. I don't have as many deer here as I had in Alabama. I mean, I had deer over my place all the time in Alabama. I see some here, and I got some billy goat. Yeah, billy goat. Billy Goat Gates. Oh, the ticks, the red meat. Yeah, those ticks are terrible. Something needs to be done about that. They need to find out who's doing this, and they need to be put in prison. You're making people sick. You're giving them this disease, and they could die. They don't even know they got the disease and eat meat and die from it. No, somebody needs to go to prison. That's the bottom line. If they find somebody's dropping there's boxes of ticks that are being found all over the country. Boxes of ticks don't just materialize out of the ether. Somebody's behind this. Why? That's the last thing that should ever be put out anywhere is ticks. We got a deep state, and we got some forces in this country that don't love us. I'm going to talk about that again in a little bit. But these are things to bear in mind. The House of Klaus is not here to help us. Castor oil will keep the ticks away. What do? Just put it on your body. It's like a sunscreen or a mosquito repellent. Castor oil. Oh, cedar oil. Oh, yeah, might work. Because cedar's a natural insect repellent. I hadn't thought about that. I wonder if you can make an oil from the juniper trees here, if it would do the same thing. So, all things to think about. So, yeah, it's a diversity, the stuff we've got to deal with from deep state, from New World Order crowd, from globalist, from the House of Klaus. They don't love us, not by any stretch of the imagination. Yeah, some people think they do. And you know, they got a foothold in both political parties, but the Democrats are really sucking up to them. They just don't know it. So these are all things we got to try to avoid. Yes, but that is so toxic. You can go natural. It's better. What's toxic? Well, not is cedar oil toxic? Hard to tell what they're brewing up. Some secret biolab scattering. Yeah, yeah. Well, Billy Goat Gates has got the money. He's bought a lot of farmland, and he's been promoting this beef, not beef, this meat, artificial meat. A lot of states are outlawing it. Good thing. But on the other hand, he's trying to make we can't even eat meat. He's a snake. He is a snake. He is a snake. Then he's trying to get vaccines into all the cattle and pigs. Gosh knows what's in that stuff. So I'm going to go through the chat more in just a little bit. All right. What I'm going to do here. So we've covered several items here. We've talked about China. We've talked about this El Nino. We've talked about this new deal with Iran. We'll see how that goes. That could be a good thing. We could see the price of oil drop again. So it's up around Biden dollars right now. I imagine if AOC had her way, we'd all be paying. Gas wouldn't even be available. We didn't even be able to buy it. They wanted to really outlaw gas burning vehicles. I mean, the new Green Deal, if you went full scale AOC New Green Deal, we'd be in a nightmare country. Yeah. Imagine if we had an entire fleet of vehicles, trucks, cars, everything. They want to put, semi trucks on, electricity. Our electrical grid can't bear the load it's got. And then we're putting all these data centers on there. You add all these vehicles too. You take away people being able to use propane. I live off grid. And when you live off grid, and I do have solar panels, but you'll discover that the batteries are the most expensive thing you can buy, and your batteries just aren't going to support you running a lot of electrical appliances. That's why people live off grid use propane a lot. I use it for heating, cooking. People that live off grid a lot of times have propane dryers. Propane is heavily used by people that live off grid, even when you have electricity, because it just don't make sense to use a lot of batteries. I've got a pretty good battery bank, but still not enough. If I have to really watch what I do. Right? You've got to watch when you consume electrical power, how much you consume. Definite reptilian for sure. Yeah, they're saying that we got and then there's Hal Puthoff saying we got 4 species of aliens and one of them's reptilian. So he's probably talking about politicians or Billy Goat Gates. Yeah, I think they're already here, and I think Billy Goat Gates is one of them. Klaus Schlauber, Larry Fink. They must be reptilian. Like the movie V, or what was that one maybe or people put on if they had on the right glasses, they saw it where it says obey, 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 and all the people, all the government officials were actually reptiles. That was a funny one. Maybe there's more truth in that than we realize. I'm being facetious, but guys, it's about that bad. You kind of wonder, they may be controlled by these people, by those entities. I think they're demonic. Batteries are toxic. I use lead acid batteries here, just flooded lead acid batteries. Why? Because you don't have to put battery management systems on. They're not controlled by chips. So I'm less susceptible, can't even talk, less susceptible to an electromagnetic pulse by using lead acid batteries. Now, my charge controllers and inverters, those are both susceptible. If I can get enough money, I will buy backup ones and put them in Faraday cages. But right now, I don't have money to do that. So it's going to be a little while before I can get my cash reserves back up to do things like that. And I'm planning to start building my universal habitat out here pretty darn soon, because I really feel like that's what I'm meant to do. I'm beginning to think I was sent out here on a mission, and that's probably a big part of what it is. They're alive. Oh, yeah, that's the name. Maybe they're alive. Or they live. Something like that. Yeah. Yeah. The pole of ticks, as Rex says. Yeah. I call them poly ticks. And what's poly ticks means? Poly is many, and ticks is bloodsuckers. So, yeah, politicians. Poly ticks. Many bloodsuckers. I've been saying for a long time. He says politics. He might have got that from me saying politics. So I've said that for a long time. I think I put that on a thumbnail once from one of my videos once upon a time. Showed a whole bunch of ticks. I think I did that from one of my videos way back. Guys, I got over 1,700 videos on this channel. Sometimes it's hard for me to find my old videos. So let's do this. I'm not the maybe, yeah. They're alive or they live. Yeah, something like that. So I don't know. I just got a few little articles I'm going to show you, and I'm going to talk a little bit and then go into the chat room. So there's not a lot of articles I'm going to show you tonight. Hang on, guys. Here's what I'm going to do. Share screen, if it'll let me. I'm having some Zoom issues with this computer. I don't know. Zoom acts different on different computers. I don't know what's doing that. Guys, so I'm reading a message from my sponsor, which is me. And we're going to go back to this Bill Gates, Klaus Schwab, and Larry Fink business here, because there are just 12 companies that now control over 550 different consumer brands. And there was a time some of these brands had good products, fairly good products, fairly decent ingredients. But what we found is that, in the United States, they've always allowed food additives that weren't allowed in Europe, a lot of places like that. Even Russia don't allow some of the stuff that's in our food. But to make it even, thank you for sharing the link. That's where we're going. It's the switchwithgreg.com. So what we find, though, is that when a lot of these companies got bought out, absorbed by these 12 big major companies, that a lot of them had to change their ingredients to make them cheaper, to make them last longer on the store shelf, to put flavors in them that were addictive, but a lot of it is chemical based. And I've done a video where I've showed you that it's not just chemicals, it's heavy metals. And in fact, over 90% of the toothpaste that were tested for high levels of heavy metals. I've got a video on that. And this includes toothpaste made specifically for kids. It's just reprehensible. And that study didn't look at the chemicals in the toothpaste, just the heavy metals. And it was off the charts. Yeah, I mean, there was brands that some of my followers were using. So, I thought that was safe because it was Himalayan. That's kind of like Himalayan salt kind of stuff, and a lot of these toothpaste actually label themselves as safe, but they've got heavy metals in them. No, they're not safe. Especially kids are bad to swallow a lot of toothpaste too. Not good. So you got to consider this every time. I got this from Milton Friedman. I read his book, Freedom to Choose, or Free to Choose, back in 1980, 81 time frame. And he made the case that every time you buy a product, every time you spend $1 for a product, that's a vote for that product. Now, from the basic economic standpoint, that means that's why the free market works. That's the democratization of the free market, why it works better than a command economy. But also, if you got bad product and you're buying it, you're voting for that product, you're voting for that company and whatever they support. And now here's the scary thing. These companies are primarily controlled by 3 big asset management companies. These big asset management companies have controlling interest in most of corporate America. The three big asset managers will get that on my screen. Control dominates corporate America. And the biggest one, Vanguard. No, excuse me, BlackRock. Excuse me, BlackRock. I think State Street is really an old company. BlackRock was founded by none other than Larry Fink. And he's got this model of buying tons of houses and properties with the idea of renting them back to you. So he can buy them in bulk and buy them cheaper because he gets better interest rates than anybody else. Gives him a competitive advantage at buying this stuff. So the sad thing is, you can't compete with BlackRock for buying properties. And what they would like to do is, you know, that old adage from the World Economic Forum that you will have no privacy, you will own nothing, and you'll be happy. Why? Because you can be renting from BlackRock. Yeah, you won't own nothing. You can be paying rent, and they want to have where you're getting paid in digital currency that they can snap back from you if you don't meet your social credit score. So, and it just so happens that Larry Fink, now, all these big companies I show, all these big corporations, if you go to the World Economic Forum website, I've shown you this before in the past, that they are funded by companies. These big companies, there's a huge list of them. They call them their partners on the World Economic Forum website. They show you who funds them. Huge list of these companies. So, and now who took over when Klaus Schwab retired? Larry Fink took over the World Economic Forum. You can't make this stuff up, guys. You can't make it up. So the bottom line is, every time you buy one of these, you're voting for living in a 15-minute city to ride a tricycle and eat the bugs. You're voting for Larry Fink. You're voting for Klaus Schwab. You're voting for the World Economic Forum. You're voting to be controlled. This whole thing with 15-minute cities was never about the environment. It was never about climate. It's always been about control, to take your freedoms and control you. And then we're going to use they were scaring everybody to death over climate and using that scare to try to control you. They'll still try to control you. They're still trying to implement this agenda, even though the UN's intergovernmental panel for intergovernmental panel for climate control has now admitted that their studies weren't right, but they're still playing the game. So, but every time you buy some of this stuff, you're supporting these companies, you're supporting bad products, you're getting bad products, and you're supporting the House of Klaus. So I was beside myself. As more and more and more I saw this, I was like, I got to get out. I got to find a way out of this. I got to find a way to get away from it. I got to find a way to get better quality products and not be supporting the House of Klaus. So I come up with a way to switch away from that, to switch away. And that is switchwithgreg.com. I set up this website. And what happens if you come here, we've got a U.S. company that is family owned, not part of that corporate agenda, not part of the House of Klaus at all. They produce good, safe, non-toxic products. They don't have all these chemicals in them. Anything that's not allowed in Europe will not be in this stuff. They tested extensively for consumer safety. And the good news is it's all made in America. So when you get into this, you're supporting American jobs, getting American product that don't have all the other junk in it. So you can go to my website and you can see some of the background about this, some of the stuff about these companies you've been supporting, some testimonials. So all you got to do is come here and fill out this form, click the blue button, submit form, and this information just goes to me and there's one of the lady who's helping me bring people on board. So that's Lisa. She's a member of the community. So you'll hear from Lisa. So do consider this a way to get better products for you and your family and not support House of Klaus. Family-owned company. All right, we're done with that stuff. Let's go to the news here. Hill, Trump says that the Iran deal is largely negotiated. Strait of Hormuz will be open. So, further news. 60-day deal. Oh, so they got a 60-day negotiation period. And lift all sanctions. Yeah, we're going to lift the sanctions on Iran so they can get a chance to make a little money, I guess. In the war in Lebanon, that's one of the things Iran wanted. So Iran's getting something out. There's concessions from both sides, but apparently the nuclear material is part of it, that we're going to get that. So Axios is the one reporting this stuff. A memorandum of understanding. So Axios broke the story. And one of the things Axios said was that Iran agreed to give up their highly enriched uranium stockpile. But this came from a couple of Americans that said, well, here it is. Oh, this New York Times. Okay, the New York Times citing two American officials. Now, who they are, I don't know. Probably because of involved negotiations, they hadn't called her name out. It's not Donald Trump this time. That's the interesting thing. And we had this shooting near the White House. Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention that. Somebody shot at a Secret Service agent. Secret Service officers, though, took this individual out. You know, just not a smart idea to go shooting at Secret Service agents. Not the most intelligent thing somebody could do. Worldwide slaves to oil. I'm going to get out of that. In fact, I should probably just kill that page. Let's go back and kill it. There we go. All right. I talked to you. I said there's some huge sunspots on the other side of the sun, and this has been detected by Europe's solar polar orbiter. And so it's got this good view. There, guys, this is huge. Look at that. Sunspot well, this is one complex, but these join together. Look at this. That's huge. This is a big area here of sunspots. That thing is huge. It wasn't that way when it was on our side. See, the sun rotates. So this could come back at us. Could be ugly. And reverse polarity. So it's got a reverse polarity on this thing, which makes it, I think, more dangerous. So we got to watch this. Huge sunspots. Aurora aren't too big right now. Now look, we come down here to that. No big coronal holes at the moment. We come down here to the asteroid report. Look at all these asteroids that came in between the Earth and the Moon on the 18th of May. There's 4 of them there, one day. And then on the 21st of May, we had one. We had one gave us a real close shave a couple of days ago on the 22nd of May. It came in halfway between our geosynchronous satellites and Earth, but it was tiny, 2 meters, and the speed was really slow at 9 kilometers per second, relatively speaking. So that could be a rocket stage. That one is a high suspect to be a rocket stage. Now, I like to go here and look at the orbital viewer when I see one like that and see if what the orbit is. Is its orbit really close to Earth's orbit? Let's see that. Let's look at this one. Oh, computer's acting up. Okay, so this thing goes between Earth and Mars. So this could be a rocket stage from something we launched to Mars. It really could be. Could be the upper stage of a rocket that was launching a payload toward Mars. Given how small it is and the lower relative velocity, could be an asteroid, but a tiny one. It would be tiny, but 2 meters is not that big. That's very likely to be a rocket stage. You know, I do like to look at those things. When I see low velocities, like that. That's always worth it. It would burn up in the atmosphere. It's not going to be a threat to Earth. That small size, unless it was a pure nickel iron little meteoroid, it wouldn't make it through the Earth's atmosphere. Now, if it's pure nickel iron, it would get through, but that's pretty small. Yeah, it would if it's pure nickel iron. But if it's stony chondrite, no, it wouldn't make it. If it was carbonaceous chondrite, no, it wouldn't make it. Most asteroids are stony rubble piles. So let's go over here to the earthquake report. So we got a fair one up here in Alaska. 5.3. There was a bigger one down here in Hawaii. There was a 6.0 I saw earlier. 3.2. I guess it went off the map. Must have expired. Yeah. A 4.1 in Greece, west of Fry, Greece. Could you imagine living in a city called Fry, Greece? Greece, Fry, Greece. That's funny. Over here next to Turkey. We're going to throw the turkey in the Fry, Greece. Because there's an earthquake in Turkey. 4.9. Look at that. So that's kind of funny to me. Kind of funny. We got some over here in, was it New Mexico? Yeah. White City was sitting there before. Looks like there was two of them. And Round Valley, California. King City, California. Got one off of Pistol River, Oregon. Do we have Chewy Weather in the house tonight? Is Chewy with us? So we're West Wokistan. And we got a lot of activity over here. Samoa, 4.9. Fiji, 4.4. Another Fiji, 4.0. Then one over here close to New Zealand. Hicks Bay, 4.6. It's 106 kilometers southeast of Hicks Bay, so I guess it's offshore. And we got some over here around Indonesia. What's this one? Yep, 5.2, Indonesia. All right, earth's quaking and shaking. And as usual, our friends over in Puerto Rico dancing up a storm. Well, that's Dominican Republic there. Okay. I'll zoom into that a little better. A few down here in South America, which is not unusual. Trying to scroll it differently. Hang on. Not wanting to do what, there we go. Now I got to scroll the way I want it to. And we got one in Puerto Rico. Just one tonight. Okay. Puerto Ricans aren't dancing too hard for a Saturday night. Maybe they wore themselves out through the week. They got two in Puerto Rico. Okay. And a couple of ones over here and the Dominican Republic. All right, that's enough of the earthquakes for tonight. I'm going to stop the share. Halo. All righty. For me, I've started a new job. And you might recall over on my Galactic Greg's channel, I've posted a few videos where I was talking about the challenges of landing on the moon. And I made the case that I don't think Starship human lander is going to work. It's very top heavy, and it's going to blow out a huge crater. Now, they've talked about, well, we'll put balloons on it and land it. Well, how are you going to re-erect it? Are you going to send a crane to the moon before you send the first Starship? And what are you going to send that on? How do you re-erect it if you land it on balloons? If you land it on balloons, you got to worry if you land on a crater rim or boulder, the whole thing may have too much stress on you. It may break the lander, and it may explode like the Starship flight did that just came down in the Indian Ocean. Now, they didn't burn all the fuel in it. That's why that one exploded. They had a lot of unburnt fuel. They were using that to test some of the parameters of the flight to shake it out. So that's not to be unexpected. It blew up like that. That's what you'd expect, actually. It was kind of a spectacular end of that mission. I think it was a good mission overall. and they had a couple of challenges. One of the engines on the Starship went out, so they didn't have six, they had five. So it just meant they had to burn longer to get the same total impulse, the same delta velocity, to get where they wanted to, but they made it. Um, so it amazes me that folks universally agree politicians are the worst examples of humanity. Yeah, they keep voting for them. No kidding. No kidding. All righty. Politics. Mean ticks, mean bloodsuckers. All right, let's do this. I'm going to go through the chat room here. I'm going to try to find it on this computer, so I won't be looking over my shoulder. All right, I may not read everything. It's nearly 2 a.m. here. Here's my, so talk about myself here real quick. I got a couple of challenges. One of them is that I do have a new job and it's taken a lot out of me. But the other challenge is because Arizona is not on daylight savings time, it gets light really early in the morning here. I got light coming in my house at 4 a.m. when rooster's crowing. So in 2 hours, I won't be able to sleep. It takes me an hour after I finish a video just to process everything. So I'll get about an hour sleep tonight. I'm honest. I probably won't sleep an hour tonight. So that's one reason you not see me on here. It takes me a long time to get everything put together. And I didn't pull up as many articles as normal. I'm just mainly talking from stuff, just to avoid pulling up so many articles, because that takes a lot of time to rack and stack all those articles and put them up. I mean, I read them. I read them every day, and every day I'm thinking I might do a live session, but it's usually so late. Especially if tomorrow was a work day, I just couldn't do it this late. But I'm going to be brain dead most of the day tomorrow, just because I'm not going to sleep tonight. I'll be lucky to get an hour sleep. I'm serious. Every morning, 4 o'clock, I wake up. I don't care what. The sun's up, and I can't stay asleep. It's and so it's kicking me hard. And that's one reason you're not seeing me as much. I've got to figure out. I did a video a couple of days ago. I did it because I get up so darn early. I did it before my work. And it was a challenge. I tried that a couple other times. I couldn't pull it off. I did a test because I was having problems with Zoom and some other stuff. I did a test. I actually tried to go live on Product Papas, and I took it off because I got to test. If I'm going to go live, I got to test on some channel. So I tested on one that had the least subscribers to it that I could do a live video with. I got a couple of the channels I can't do a live video on, but I can on Product Papas. That's why there were a few of you jumped in there. I had in the title, don't watch, test video or something like that. Still a few people clicked onto it, but I deleted it after I tested it. Sometimes I got to test the system out. And I was having some issues. I've had crap sleep all week. Yeah, it's kicking me, guys. It's kicking me a lot harder now. Used to sleeping 2 hours a night was nothing. But I think my age is finally starting to catch up with me. 2 hours a night is hard to deal with. All right, so I'm going to go through the chat room. I'm going to kind of scan through it kind of fast. Ken, thanks for the 5x5, so I know how I'm done. Now you see me, that's good to know, Dan. Arnold, good to see you. Yeah, always before it's actually opened the video directly on my browser, on the computer I was running Zoom from. It's not doing that now. So I'm getting confused. Am I live or not? Is it working or not? So I had to open it over here. It's like, yeah, I don't know. Am I just talking to myself? And sometimes, yeah, I don't know when I go live. I mean, it don't always tell you. And by the time the video actually comes up, that's a delay. I've been live for a little bit. So sometimes if you see me on the video, go, oh, I'm trying to figure out if I'm live or not. But that's when most people click off. So that's terrible for a YouTuber to have to deal with that. Those people see that, the first thing they do is they click off. It's terrible. I hate that in YouTube or Zoom. I'm going to get another browser thing. Killer Smurf, good to see you in here. Now you're Killer Smurfy. Hadn't seen you in a while. Plant guy. Personally, I'm getting a little bit sick and tired of all the deals, no deals, ceasefires. Yeah. That's why I was thinking to make me up a little cartoon of Donald Trump as Charlie Brown and the Ayatollah Mustafa hominy as Lucy. But maybe this time that's real. Let's hope it is. But this on and off thing, I've been thinking it's just time when you start bombing the snot at them, forget about it. Don't even negotiate with them. Just bomb the crap out of them and then leave. Titusville, Cocoa, Chris Baker. Cocoa Beach, my favorite place to be in Florida during the winter. Put a bounty on his. Oh yeah, they did. They put a bounty on his daughter. That's pretty low. That's pretty low. That is low life. Look, the Iranians are low life guys. They're low lives. Don't doubt it for a minute. I'll buy the bog people. Oh, you're by. You should not BY. We got BOY. I see now you corrected that. I just wanted to buy someone. Endeavor buy people. 30 minutes from the beach. The slow and low barbecue. I haven't tried that one. When I get back down to Cocoa Beach, I'll look for it. All right. If you've been to Dixie Crossroads, put a 4 in the chat room. I don't know who's been to Dixie Crossroads. That's in Titusville. Ozone disappeared, then now has reappeared. Well, Freon was said to be taking a lot of stuff in a lot of the aerosol spray cans they took out. They claimed was affecting the ozone layer. Apparently, it started healing. So, Skin Soft. I know Skin Soft's supposed to work against skeeters. I use permethrin in my clothes, no ticks. Yeah, that's the one that's toxic. I see Michael Vic. How you doing? Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's lemongrass. Maybe we need to, hey, everybody, cook up your favorite anti-tick thing. Think about it. We'll talk about that in another video. Batteries are toxic. So let's see. They allow. I got a 4 group 24 standard RV battery running off 300 watts. So that's good. Dead wolf resistance. Dead wolf dead. Okay, yeah, it's dead wolf resistance. I was trying to read it wrong. Yeah, electric trucks need some heavy bridges. No kidding, because electric cars are way heavy. And here's the funny thing: electric cars actually generate more pollution because they weigh so heavy on the tires. It causes a lot of stuff to come off the tires, a lot more than regular vehicles. And so we're getting a lot of microplastic pollution because plastics are used in rubber. It's not pure rubber. So really bad pollution's coming out of green these green vehicles, and the green deal is a very polluting thing. Support your local farmers. Amen to that, Killer Smurf. Yeah, they don't like They don't like anybody being self-sufficient. They don't want homesteaders. They don't want you living on a farm. Some of these people don't. Well, I'm gonna tell you something. If we don't have the petrodollar and we lose world reserve currency, inflation's gonna go Weimar Republic with the debt we have. The only reason we don't have crazy debt is because there's so much money in the system, dollars. Hey, Pyramid 7, how you doing? Good to see you, Pyramid 7. That was my original mod, Pyramid 7. Don't take melatonin. It will trash your circadian rhythm. Interesting, Paula. Cat jumped on the keyboard. Dang cats. I know all about cats. They're interesting. All right. Oh, yeah, we got some people been to Dixie Crossroads. Okay. ABA4CO and Angie been to Dixie Crossroads. I'd been there in a while. Hey, Meg Rising, how you doing? Love it. I love charred oysters. Yeah, of course, they got the rock shrimp there, which is shrimp that you got to cut open like a lobster. Heavy shell. Folks want my location for a huge solar farm. Oh my gosh. Ouch, Paula. That's scary. That's it. They're taking land and all kind of stuff. Would you move if they did that? Greg, did you get your cats? Yeah, put them outside. The cats are outdoors. They got on my last nerve. We're tearing up everything. Cats, people think cats are clean because they're pooping in the box. I'm going to tell you, a cat's the nastiest animal you can have in the house. They're absolutely the filthiest animal. Why? Because, yeah, they may poop in the sandbox, but they dig in it. And they get that all in their paws. And then they walk all over your house. They get on everything you got. And when they're walking, little poop particles are going everywhere that cat walks. Everywhere they take a step is cat poop. Anything they step, everywhere they put their paw, you can bank that's cat poop. So they spread that cat poop everywhere. That's why if you get a scratch and gets infected, that's why I talk about cat scratch fever. It's the thing. It's the thing. Every time I got a cat scratch, I would spray myself with alcohol to deal with that because the alcohol helps kill some of the germs. So yeah, cat scratch fever is a thing. It's a song and a thing. Song by Ted Nugent, who's very much pro Second Amendment. So I kind of like Ted Nugent. Cat scratch fever. Don't listen to a lot of his music, but I do like where he stands politically, and generally, at least vis-a-vis the right to arm bearers. Let's just put it that way. So we gotta be careful what I say on here. All right, let's do I'll try to check my email. What's cooking here? So, oh yeah, I want to talk about my job a little bit. So I think I didn't quite finish what I was saying. So on my Galactic Greg's channel, I talked about the problem with landing on the moon. And I've talked about it a few times, and I said it's going to be a big challenge. Even, I think the Blue Origin landers got a lot better chance. I said that many months ago. But I said it's also got a top-heavy center of gravity. And I was worried about its landing legs not being wide enough in the pictures I was seeing. I know now the landing legs are actually wider. But my job, believe it or not, is working on the hazard analysis for the guidance navigation control system and the plume surface interaction. That's my job, is try to get this lander where to land on the moon, or at least write the hazard analysis about getting it on the moon. So my job deals with the problem of getting getting a human lander on the surface of the moon, the one I think's got the best shot at it. And it's not trivial. And there will be hazards. There will be risk involved in it. I'm aware of these risks. I can't really talk the details of the job here because a lot of it is, sensitive information. I do now think it's doable, but it will be a challenge. So that's my job. I got the job of the thing that was worrying me the most. The one, if you see, I've done the videos that says we have to get to the moon because the Chinese, if the Chinese get on the moon first and put up a lunar mass driver, they could basically take over the world. They could own everything. If you don't understand it, you need to go find my videos on Galactic Grid. I talked about that a couple times on Galactic Grid. If the Chinese put a moon base in and set up a mass driver, they've won. The world's theirs. It's just that easy. We will be in big trouble. That's why we got to get to the moon. We got to do it before they do it. And I got the job, the most critical job, in the most critical aspect of making that happen in my mind. It's the most exciting thing I could do because I've been wanting to go to the moon all my life. When I was in on the 10th anniversary of the lunar moon landing, I was at the von Braun Astronomical Society talking to Ernst Stullinger, who was the von Braun's top scientist. And he spent a good bit of time talking to me. I was just a 19-year-old kid. I had only taken some night courses in college. It was 3 days later, I was in the Army. 3 days after talking with them, I was in the Army. I was at basic training that first full moon. I looked up at the moon. I said, I'm going there. Somehow I'm going to get there. Well, I may not be going personally, but look, I do have the job now of getting mankind on the moon. So imagine that. Imagine that, guys. I got what's to me to be the dream job, probably the best job I could have, most important, critical job that I could possibly have. I mean, it's the dream job for me. So I'm still working for the company I was working for before. I'm a contractor. I'm not direct Blue Origin. I'm a contractor. And Blue Origin don't like having contractors, but they made an exception for the team I work with because the team I work with has done such good work for them. But the contract is technically up the 30th of June, so we're hoping they'll extend it. Cross your fingers that my job lasts. But I do have my fingers now on the most critical thing, the thing that I think is the most important that we do. So to me, I got a dream job to get us back on the moon. Yeah, this is something I've been harping on, and wow, now I got the job right in the middle of it. Is that amazing or what? Well, one thing is if we can get the data centers produce some lunar material that's going to take a lot of load off our electrical grid, our power grid. We can also produce energy from these things. There's a lot of resources that we can get from the moon to alleviate and make life on Earth way better. There's also this whole thing, there's a whole lot more energy materials in space than there is on Earth. But to be able to access it, you got to start it. You've got to having a moon base that actually makes use of these resources is a huge start. The economy and places for people to live can be vastly greater than anything you can imagine right now. And if you're going to wait till we solve all the problems on Earth, that will never happen. Just like the war on poverty. We spend enough money on the word poverty to make every poor person on Earth a millionaire, probably. We spent so much money on the war on poverty, it's obscene. And what did it get us? Broken families, people on drugs, people without hope. Why? Because, mamas found out that having daddy at home meant they didn't get as much money. So they decided they would have kids out of wedlock, and we're having a bunch of kids. The kids without daddies being raised. A lot of them, I do know some single moms that done a really good job raising their kids. I know a black lady raised 4 black boys in Brooklyn, New York, who all turned out to be very successful professionals. That's the exception, not the rule. It worked because she ruled them with a black iron rod. She was tough on them. But every one of her boys is immensely successful now. They have done very well. But that is not the rule. That's the exception. And maybe it's because she's actually an immigrant. Immigrants sometimes try harder than native people that live here in the United States. They have a lot of motivation. And I've seen that a lot of times. So that's the case, guys. Kids that grow up without 2 parents are often, they just don't have all the support they need. A child growing up needs a lot of emotional support. It's tough. And they need both the influence of a male and female, primarily mom and dad. That's just something they really need. Well, payment, Elon is looking at doing it as a commercial venture being paid for by SpaceX. I'm coming to you tonight over a SpaceX Starlink satellite link. So maybe the government money will just be kind of the starter money. No, a government cannot fund all that stuff. There's no way a government could fund building an economy in space. It's going to have to be commercial and will only work if it's commercial. That's why I started supporting the L5 Society's fight against the Moon Treaty back in the 1970s when the L5 Society only had 5,000 members. We stopped the United States from signing the Moon Treaty. Yes, we did that. And that may be the most important thing, one of the most important things we ever did. Because the Moon Treaty would have made it where private enterprise just couldn't have operated on the moon. And it would have basically sealed our fate that we'd never be able to do the kind of things we're on the verge of doing. So I was a teenager, and I was putting my little pennies in that, contributing to it, sending in letters, campaigning, whatever I could do. And we won. A lot of people tell, oh, we can't do nothing. We can't have no effect. You know, why are they going to do it? No, that's not true. That's why I started the Freedom Restoration Foundation. I also went to Senator Nelson and got him to come up with a compromise deal that enabled both commercial space and a space launch system to go forward. I did that. I went to Colonel Paul Damphus, who I knew, and I presented him the compromise plan, and Senator Nelson adopted it immediately. It would have been scorched earth had it been for that. Who knows where we'd be today? We might have neither one. I do know that individuals and small groups can have huge outside effect. Most people don't want to believe because they're told you can't do it. I'm here to tell you I have done it, so that's not true. I have had huge impacts on things, and you can too. You got to believe in yourself and be determined and not give up. You know, it's like you got to be like Clint Eastwood said, and you know when they were looking to get attacked by Union forces when they were at their little homestead at the end of the movie, and he was telling them all how to fight, and he was telling them you just got to be mad dog mean. You know, basically you don't give up. You got to be determined. You got to get in there and do it. That's been my approach in getting through college. I went through college. I paid my own way through college while I was a parent. I had a family, and I paid my way through college. I didn't get no GI Bill. I wasn't getting money from my dad. I did it. And I took through one of the hardest schools you could go to and one of the hardest programs you could do, electrical engineering at UAH. It was not easy. It took me 11 years to get through college because it also included a stint in the Army. But I did what I had to do, and I didn't give up on it. I set my goals, and I kept going for them. I was determined to make it happen, and it did. And, of course, along the way, I became chairman of the policy committee of the National Space Society for 10 years. I wrote some stuff on property rights in space, and I got cited by Buzz Aldrin. The article Buzz Aldrin wrote, he cited me. How many people on YouTube can tell you that Buzz Aldrin cited them? Show me one other YouTuber anywhere that can say that. Goose eggs, I guarantee you. Now, I did a video on Galactic Graves where I was talking about that decision on Ares and so forth, what was cooking, all the background behind it. I got a video on that where I went in with that deal. That's something I don't talk about a lot, but that happened. So this is kind of like the United States did put money into getting the railroads to meet, but the railroads became a huge financial burden. The United States did put a little money into getting airplane industry going by finance and airmail, but that became a huge economic thing too. So this is kind of like that. It's called energy of activation in a chemical system. And a chemical system a lot of times to have a reaction, you got to throw in some energy to make the reaction go. But once the chemicals react, they produce far more energy than energy put in to start with. Now, space is hard. Space is a little more expensive, takes a little bit more energy of activation. That the economic potential for space is mind-boggling. It's off the charts. There's so much material out there, so much energy out there. There is, man, we got that asteroid's Psyche that may be almost pure platinum group and gold type metals. Like you bought land on the moon? No. No, I'm not buying land on the moon. You can't technically buy land on the moon. And nations can't claim it directly. But what you can do, still under the 1967 Outer Space Treaty, is and using precedences of Roman law, civil law, and there's also precedences in common law, basically. See, that's where our legal system is. The United States is on the common law legal system. So my arguments for claiming lunar territory is you can basically claim and use where you're at. I mean, you can't like say, well, this is the United States of America. China would do it, though. China has already violated the law of the sea treaty. And I also fought the law of the sea treaty. And the United States didn't sign that either. Yeah, I went to Senator Vitter, and I had him quoting me in a Senate hearing on that. He also had him quoting me attacking Lori Garver, who was the deputy administrator of NASA, who used to be the executive director of the National Space Society. But I have been quoted by senators. I'm also in the congressional report I think I was cited there by Dan Inouye. So these are things I've done, guys. So I'm 62, still fighting. Yep, I'm putting my property up for sale to cut my losses and go on. I have started over 4 times, so the 5th time may be the charm. Oh, yeah, they're trying to take your place. Wow. Eminent domain. That's terrible. So, well, yeah, sometimes, you hit a hard spot. You just got to don't give up. Get up, try again. I ran in a hard spot. I ran a rocket company. I ran International Space Development Conference. I had like 80 volunteers working for me on that. My Halo program had a bunch of volunteers. I started rocket and I paid people that were professionals that did really well at those things. I had a huge group working under me when I was chairman of the policy committee of the National Space Society. Sometimes we have Veronica come in our chat room. She was a member of that. She can vouch for that if she's in here. Whenever she comes in, you can ask her if you don't believe what I'm saying. She'll vouch for everything I'm telling you. She was there. She saw it. I became chairman of the executive committee of the National Space Society. That was the CEO position of the organization. I ran the organization when we were in a financial free fall, and I pulled the society up from economic destruction, economic death. The society would have died if I hadn't worked my ass off to save it. So I've been involved in those kind of things. But then when I started the company, my worm farm, on paper it all looked great, and I could sell I can sell worms. I got no problem selling them. But when I started hiring wage grade labor, at first it was difficult, but I could make it work. Then after 2020, after the cerveza bug, whatever you want to call it, went around, the government was throwing money at people. Stay at home. And when the money dried up, a lot of people still didn't go back to work. I got used to that. So when I suddenly tried to restart the company or that venture, I couldn't find people. Where I had people harvesting 180 pounds of worms a week. Suddenly the same labor force, it was like 20 pounds. It's like, I can't sell these, I had selling these worms for $500 a pound to break even. That's why I knew I had to quit. But before the bug, I was selling 180 pounds a week. A friend of mine was selling 100 pounds a week. Just a very few years later, she was a good friend in the worm business. She was selling over $1 million of worms a year. but it was her and her granddaughter working. So I had another job. I couldn't, because of my bills, I couldn't just quit my job to do this. I had to hire people. And at one time that kind of sort of worked, but then I hit a point that failed. And the people I was hiring was robbing from me, lying to me. Oh, I got so many stories on. I got a lot of stories on just all kind of different. That's why I had fold up, sell out of Alabama, and leave. I'm restarting here. I think I may have found some good people. Maybe I can make a go for that again. I may restart the worm farm. I got a few things to experiment with, but I had a lot of trouble with wage labor people in Alabama. Primarily, these people would tell you they're not on drugs, but every one of them turned out was either on drugs or real close to it. Meth, basically. And that was a huge problem. Tweakers. So my number one priority, I don't want a single tweaker to even know where I live. I'm not going to let them come on my property. They're not even allowed on my road. I ain't got no use for tweakers. Because they destroyed my life once upon a time. I'm not going to let it happen again. I don't trust them. They're destructive. Hello, Storm. I've been on the road listening for the whole stream. Wanted to thank you once again for all you do and for what you learned, found, and chose to share with all. Thank you there for that, Andy Sings. I appreciate that. From NASA to Earthworms. Hey, the worm business can be huge. Like I said, I know people that are millionaires off the worm business. And I'm a prepper too. It's one of the best grid down businesses you could be in. I still support space. I'm not working for NASA. I was a NASA contractor. I was never a NASA civil servant. I was an Army civil servant once upon a time. I was in the Army. When I was in high school, I was in ROTC. I joined the Army. When I got out of the Army, I joined the National Guard. Then I became an Army civil servant. I've also worked on a couple of Army contracts. So I know the Army and the Air Force from different angles. I worked on the Air Force contract. So, and I don't mind being a worm farmer. There's nothing bad about that. Nothing at all. It's a good, honorable business. If you can find help, that's the key thing. You can't harvest a bunch of worms one person. That's very labor intensive. Your life experience stories you share tonight's been wonderful. Okay, well, thank you for that. Hey, I'm bringing it to you straight, guys. I've been exceedingly motivated, and that's why I did the space stuff, because I think space is the ultimate prep. Honestly, I knew that here on the surface, we all live in one biosphere here on Earth. We live in one biosphere, so stuff can spread globally. A big environmental impact can spread globally. Nuclear war, we're all in this little fish pond together. We're all in this aquarium, this one aquarium we call Earth, third rock from the sun. And there are things that happen periodically that wipe out a lot of what's alive on Earth. And it doesn't take an extinction level event to wipe out civilization as we know it. Humanity survived Toba. Humanity has survived a lot of things that would totally wipe out civilization. In fact, what happened was it 534 AD? There was a kind of a volcanic winter that year. And it wiped out a lot of people. Civilization, as we know it, couldn't survive an event like that. Our civilization is too finely tuned. I'm going to work Memorial Day. Hey, Kim Possible, how you doing? Missing all. Hi, Greg. I had to come to work this morning. Here lurking. Well, glad to see you. Thank you for saying hi. So, y'all get things from me. You're not going to get from anybody else. I got perspective that you're just not going to hear from anybody. Yet YouTube apparently don't like me. I don't get a lot of views, in spite of all the number of videos I've done. Earth is a petri dish, kind of, yeah. So Gerard K. O'Neill, back in the 70s, come up with these ideas for these huge space habitats that rotated, that you could live in space, that would have trees and forests and lakes and rivers in the sky, in space. It's really an awesome idea. I met Gerard Kilnell. He's dead now. I met a lot of interesting people in my life, and I got a picture of that somewhere. I was back on the station in Fort Greely, Alaska. I met him at Fairbanks. He went to speak in Fairbanks, so I went up to see him. And meeting him is one of my top honors. The So let me tell you, I'm working on something else. So y'all remember my universal habitat concept? Concept for a home you can live in and make a living out of, grow all your food in. Unlike Earthship, Earthship you can grow some stuff in. I'm talking about growing all your food in it, all your food, and producing enough to sell. So the idea was a home you can live in, make a living out of, and grow all your food in. And it's not that big. Well, I have been working on a way to make that a hermetically sealed compound. Its own biosphere. It's the ultimate prep. You would have like your own little spaceship right here on Earth. What I call a universal habitat, because it will work anywhere. Anywhere. That's the whole idea. Earth, Moon, Mars. They even come with this idea for colonizing Venus and these big balloons that would float in the atmosphere and having these homes, universal habitats, as a living area inside of it. I'm going to build it. I plan to build it right out here. I think that's why I'm really here. But suddenly I've got some people that want to help me build it. So isn't that amazing? I'm really beginning to think that's why I think the whole thing in Alabama was to keep me out of the state and get me out here, because I was being kicked out there and I had some different things pulling me in this direction. And highly coincidental, like message from God kind of stuff. So it was like God was saying, get the heck out of here and go here. And it wasn't just one or two messages. I had several coincidences that lined up that was improbable. Yeah, I believe in God. So definitely. So there we have it. That's the story there. Oh, we got 138 watching now. Hey, that's great. That's a lot better than we had for a while. See you off to the green desert. Yeah, I'm green in the desert. Hey, guys, Jason, who's got Green Country Agroforestry, he is one smart cookie. He's got a lot of good content on his channel. If you've not watched his channel, go watch his channel. A lot of good content about gardening and plants. The man is a plant growing Einstein. Really smart guy. I really think the world of Jason. So appreciate it. Good to see you in the house, Jason. So I just wanted to point that out to you guys. Definitely check out Jason's channel. He is awesome. I've done a couple of videos with him. I went up to visit him twice, and I really loved it. So I'll have to get up there again one of these days. He's one of my favorites. I've had him as a guest on this channel too. How many times, Jason? A few times. And one of the things we talked about on one of the videos is how to grow all the food you need on 1/10 of an acre, which is the size of this home. And yeah, you did go back and watch my universal habitat videos. I'm planning to build one out here. Because apparently the idea needs, people got to see it. So I'm planning to make it seen. We should send all the billionaires to Venus. And not in a balloon, so they drop the surface. Yeah, on the surface of Venus, it's hot enough to melt lead. And the pressure will crush any submarine we got, even the ones that go to the bottom of the Marianas Trench. It's horrendous pressure and heat. But at 50 kilometers, 30 miles up in the atmosphere, the pressure is like out here. It's one atmospheric pressure, and the temperatures are the same as on Earth. And the funny thing is, because of the high CO2 content, the Venetian atmosphere is actually a lot denser You can almost hermetically seal a house and it would float. That's the cool thing about Venus. So it actually my habitats would be too buoyant. I'd have to weight them down. They're like too buoyant. Even they will float in the Earth's atmosphere. I'd be worried about sprites and stuff. We'd have to investigate. There's some way to make them survive. You can float in the Earth's atmosphere too. Problem is that you might get shot down flying over an unfriendly country. But they would work on Earth. It definitely. In fact, you could use natural, just heated gas from sunlight going in it to create the buoyancy you need. Yeah, I did all the charts, all the numbers. It was amazing what I come up with that. It's similar to Buckminster Fuller's idea of a huge integrity sphere. Basically, it's a mile-wide habitat. You can put thousands of people in it, and you can grow your own food in it, everything. So I need to get the address and ship a tree to you. Oh, okay. I managed to take a clone from one of our, how you say it, jalopy trees. They like arid conditions. Hey, that might work. That would be interesting. Well, I'll tell you what my shipping address is. I changed it. It is my name, Greg Allison, and the address is 4917 Encanto, Encanto Road, PMB 1911. You can remember that by just, if you know what an M1911 is, the Army 45 caliber pistol. That's why I chose that box. Had a couple of options. I was, I'll take that one. This is the same number, but it's a pistol. 1911. Snowflake, Arizona. 85937. So, all right, folks. Did you get that, Jason? Now, here's some seeds of, well, I got a big box of seeds from, it's still in my van from, I picked up today. I hadn't pulled them out of the van yet. I got a big box of True Leaf. Y'all can go to my True Leaf market links and you got to get some seeds, guys. So, what I got in this pack? Let me open this up. I'm buying seeds that are more friendly to the desert. And I got some local too. See, oh, my knife at there it is. So I'm gonna have to go. It is 2:30 in the morning here. It takes me an hour to process it, so I'm gonna get 30 minutes of sleep if I go to bed right now. I'm serious, guys. May not even be worth going to bed. I'm just it's light coming in at 4 in the morning here. Oops, I cut. Pat, what did I get in this package? I don't know what this package is. Oops, I cut through the invoice, opening the package. What we got here? Anasazi dry beans. What's we got? More Anasazi dry beans. I guess that's all about in this country. Yeah, I got three packets of that. I got a bunch of, because I want to feed my chickens. I'm going to grow a chicken garden. Jojoba, okay. Like little apples. Oh, that sounds great. Good climbing bean. Yeah, okay. I got this, I got these sunflower seeds here. I got another two of these. I got a bunch of sunflower seeds. And this is, the variety is Peredovik. This is supposed to be a desert-friendly sunflower. And I got a whole bunch of those. I got 2 pounds of this. So I got 4 of these big containers. So I don't think my chickens are going to be short on sunflowers. Yeah, thanks for sharing my True Leaf market link, you guys. Appreciate that. I got a bunch of other seeds here. I got this is that big Hubbard squash. They do grow out here. Hubbard squash gets huge. Back when I was in Alabama, I people grew that for the Amish. I used to get up in Tennessee. I mean, I got a bunch of seed packets over here. I got tons of seeds. So I got a lot of garden area to plant. A lot. So getting prepared. Good climbing bean, Anasazi beans. I got a lot of tepary beans too. The tepary beans are what the natives grew here. They're really well acclimated to this area. And apparently they'll grow just in regular dirt out here. This dirt ain't good for anything hardly. I was wondering if it was true that when circulating around a while ago about sunflowers not following the sun anymore. I doubt that. No, there may be different kinds. Stay safe, stay out there, stay prepped, keep planting. There you go. Absolutely. We had a bag of Anasazi beans sitting in the pantry for over a decade before we finally stole German. That's great. I've got some kind of bean out here. It's a big old bean. It's supposed to be a climbing bean. I don't know what the name of them are. I got 2 jars of them. I got them from a local farmer. Apparently, there was a clay pot of beans found in a cave that the Indians had left behind. And they planted the beans and they germinated. I got 2 jars of those beans. So some of the local Indians were growing. So I'm going to try to grow that bean too. Since my beds, this year I got a back track hoe come here and dig trenches 3 foot wide, 3 foot deep. And I put 18 inches of wood chips in. On top of that, I put a foot of black mulch that came from tree stuff that's been broken down. And that's what I'm planning to grow in. But it's going to be nitrogen robbing, especially the first few years. So it's going to take a couple of years for it all to really settle out and grow good. But that should be able to hold moisture. It's going to be like a hugelkultur, but it's going to be in a trench. The local Indians grew in waffle grids. Basically, it was depressed in the ground below the surface. So this is kind of like that on steroids. It's bigger. It kind of approximates a growing style that Sumerians used. And I've just done some research into Sumerian stuff, and I learned a couple things I wished I'd known before I laid out how my beds run. Apparently, the Sumerians would run their beds perpendicular to the wind because the wind would be turbulent inside of that, and the way they had their beds recessed, it would actually help deposit some of the moisture from the air into the beds. I did not know that. I do have a couple. I got 4 beds that are perpendicular to the wind direction. Most of them are not. If I had known that ahead of time, I'd done them all that way. But I'm trying to more approximate the way people grow in the desert, and I'm trying to throw in some of my own stuff too. So I'm doing a large experimental garden. It's going to take a couple of years for it to really mature, for the wood chips to start breaking down and stop robbing so much nitrogen. And that's one of the reasons I'm planting a bunch of beans. Chicken dung. You can fix the nitrogen. Yeah, I don't have no chickens for the size of my garden, though. I got a huge garden area. I got a garden out here for me. I got a garden for the chickens, and I got a big garden up on the hill. It's meant to be a market garden. I mean, I have a huge garden. So I grow, treating my trench my hugelkultur pressure and grow tons of food. Yeah, in time it will. It's going to grow like crazy. So I'm trying to get the seeds that work out here. That's what I'm working on. I got to go to bed, guys. I got to try to go to bed anyway. Maybe I can get a little sleep. I may get 30 minutes of sleep if I get a rush on it. So I'm going to have to call it a night. One reason I don't come on here so much now, it's kicking me, guys. It's really kicking me hard. So I want to say thank you, Carrie, for the super chat. Thank you very much. See if anybody sent me anything otherwise. Before I go, I don't give credit. We're still okay. So, Carrie, if you're still with us, thank you. Say hi to Eddie for me. And sounds that awesome natural gas means. Could be. I got to call it a night, guys. I really got to call it. It's going to kick me. So I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. Thank you, mods, for keeping the chat room clean and for posting links new days. Some of you other mods, it'd be nice to see some of you guys posting some of my links. Heck yeah, that will go far to convert your soil. Yeah, I am going to plant a lot of beans. That's part of the idea, lots of beans. In some places, it's going to be a lot of sunflowers. Oh, yeah, I got a bunch of amaranth for the chickens. Amaranth, and I got amaranth that's more desert toned. And I've got a lot of sunflowers. I can get some other things I'm going to plant for the chickens. So chicken feed's too expensive, way too expensive. You can't sell eggs for enough to pay for chicken feed. All righty, folks. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, everyone, for watching. To one and all, a good night, good day, wherever you are.